Namaskar and very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jaykumar Gaurav. I'm Senior Advisor Climate Change and Circular Economy in GIZ India. And on behalf of GIZ India, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this session. It is an honor for me to moderate this session titled Transformative Green Education Experiences from India. The session will focus on encouraging sustainable lifestyle for environment among school students. We are going to share experiences from India and in the August presence of Shri Bhupendra Yadav, Honorable Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. Today, Minister Sir will launch some exciting communication products that GIZ and MOEFCC have prepared together. And I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to Srimati Namita Prasad ma'am, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Namita ma'am has been overseeing the activities of NMNH and has always been encouraging us to deliver good quality products out of this initiative. I would also like to welcome and thank Ms. Hannah Reuter. She's head of climate change at Asia Pacific, Latin America and Caribbean region in GIZ India. And she has took out time to attend this session. So welcome, Hannah. I would also like to welcome Srimati Naz Rizvi, Director, National Museum of Natural History. All the activities that we are discussing today have been anchored at NMNH and have been under the leadership of Naz Rizvi ma'am. So thank you very much ma'am and welcome to the session. Now I would like to invite Hannah Reuter, Head of Climate Change APLAC, to give her address. Sorry, I would like to invite Namita Prasad ma'am to give her address.
I don't know how much of everybody can see me, but at least you can see my head over the podium. And namaskar and a very good afternoon to everybody. Shri Bhupendra Yadav ji, Honorable Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Ms. Hannah Reuter, Head of Climate Team, Department Asia Pacific, Latin America, Caribbean from GIZ, Srimati Naz Rizvi, Director, National Museum of Natural History, and Shri Jaykumar Gaurav, Senior Advisor, GIZ India, other dignitaries, ladies, gentlemen, and friends. It's a great pleasure to be here at the event on the transformative green education, where we will discuss some interesting examples from India on encouraging sustainable lifestyle for environment among school children. We all know that in the 21st century, the global community is facing some very complex and urgent challenges. Among these, climate change has emerged as one of the key global development priorities since it has the potential to undermine decades of progress. A changing climate exponentially affects the most underdeveloped sections of society, both within and between countries. Combined with other social goals like equity and justice, climate change is a complex problem that demands a cooperative solution and also demands initiatives by people as individuals, families, and communities. At the previous COP, our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji had introduced the innovative and first of its kind dedicated mission and global movement called Mission Life that aims to bring individual behaviors to the center of climate action. Mission Life, which is Lifestyle for Environment, aims to mobilize all citizens to take measurable action to protect and conserve the environment. It draws from the traditional and cultural sustainable practices fostered in India, which are augmented and amplified by modern technology that can safeguard the planet and our future generations. This India-led global people's movement, or Jan Andolan, aims to trigger simple actions that everyone across the world can take to protect the environment. Mission Life aims at following a three-pronged strategy for changing our collective approach towards sustainability. First is by nudging individuals to practice simple yet effective environment-friendly actions in their daily lives, which targets the demand aspect. Second is by enabling industries and markets to respond swiftly to changing demand, which tackles the supply aspect. And third is to influence government and industrial policy to support both sustainable consumption and production, which is an aspect of policy. These actions are applicable across India and the global community. Coming to the reason why we are here today, art is a medium that can touch everyone, no matter what language they speak. It is not only a reflection of current society, it also represents shared values and aspirations for the future. Indian art is as old and diverse as its civilization, and Indian paintings have derived much of their cues from nature by not only using natural canvases but also using colors and dyes which are derived from nature itself and which are in practice even today. The National Museum of Natural History, under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, has been at the forefront in trying to introduce innovative mechanisms in capacity development on multiple topics, including environmental aspects. The museum admits people free of cost, as its 4 regional museums spread across the country, where anyone, be it children to adults, are able to experience, understand, and even take up action on multiple themes. NMNH goes beyond even the 4 walls of the museum and engages very actively with school children. Every week or so, there are interesting and engaging activities that regional museums take up with schools. This could be on waste management, nature appreciation, biodiversity conservation, cultural heritage, etc. The truth is, complex topics can be understood only if, first, someone relates to it emotionally, and then they would be able to understand the science behind it, and that would move people to action. GIZ India, under the Indo-German Technical Cooperation, is supporting NMNH in developing learning spaces on climate change at its 4 regional museums. It will begin with the 4 or 5 exhibits to start with, including games and virtual reality desk on climate change and points for reflection. These exhibits can be enjoyed by children and adults alike. The books, calendars, and other communication products were also developed under this cooperation, where a lot of thought has gone into how to reach out to children and how to engage them and how children's unpolluted voice can spread the world of sustainable lifestyle. NMNH and GIZ India are planning to hold further events in the future with school children, including exhibits created by school children on lifestyle for environment. And I hope this Indo-German partnership blooms into more events and engagement activities on lifestyle for environment and climate change topics. These paintings, which you will see, are made by school children and are a good example of how the youth of India perceives the challenge of climate change. Each painting is deeply thought out and expressed beautifully, making it possible for everyone to realize the imperative for climate action, which is, however, not based on unscientific and baseless rhetoric, but built on solid foundations of science, social justice, reflections, and dialogues. I'm sure this creative endeavor by school children will have a profound impact on all readers and motivate them towards adopting a lifestyle which is sustainable and pro-planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your inspiring words. Now I would like to invite Hannah Rutter, Head of Climate Appalach Region, GIZ, to give her address.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you, and especially to our dignitaries from the Indian government, including Shri Bhupender Yadav, the Honorary Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, of course Ms. Namita Prasad, Joint Secretary of the National Museum of Natural History, from the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and Ms. Naaz Rizvi, Director of the same museum. I would like to express my gratitude to you for inviting GIZ to organize this event with you here in the beautiful Indian Pavilion, and I feel honored to be allowed to set the scene for the discussions to follow. It is a well-known saying that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, but that we borrow it from our children. Further, the current generation of school children are going to be the future leaders. who will have to live with the consequences of climate change, but also will continue taking action against it. The voices and contributions of children and youth are essential for the active implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals and of the Paris Agreement, as recognized in the preamble of the Paris Agreement, which reaffirms intergenerational equity as a guiding principle for shaping climate action. Children and youth can be an important positive force for change and climate action when engaged and empowered effectively. Children and young people need to be seen as more than simple beneficiaries. Rather, they need to be seen as key stakeholders and active participants in policy development and implementation processes. This is, for example, being illustrated by an interesting research report on the future of work by the HSBC Bank, which, amongst others, surveyed job aspirations of young people across 4 continents, including India. Initial findings suggest that young people want to become agents of change in the face of the climate crisis, and that 85% of young people in India are interested in green jobs. Therefore, it is ideal that the Lifestyle for Environment, or LIFE movement, focuses on engaging school children. The LIFE mission aims to utilize the power of collective action and nudge individuals across the world to undertake simple climate-friendly actions in their daily lives. It is very likely that children will be the driving force at the household and community level for behavioral changes. These days, it's the children that tell their parents not to litter, not to waste water or plant trees, and so forth. The LIFE movement, additionally, also seeks to leverage the strengths of social networks to influence social norms surrounding climate, with children as key actors in this context. It is clear that teaching and learning are crucial to inspire and educate the next generation of decision makers, business leaders, and citizens, and equip them with the skills and knowledge to deal with the challenges of climate change. It is therefore commendable that the National Museum of Natural History, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, and GIZ, with funding from the German government, are working together to promote green education and climate change awareness among school children. In addition to this initiative, I would like to highlight that as part of the project called Strategic Partnership for the Implementation of the Paris Agreement, or short SPIPA, so-called climate change learning labs are being set up in 4 states of India. The SPIPA project is funded by the European Union and the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, Nuclear Safety and Consumer Protection, or short BMUV, and the action is being co-financed by another BMUV-funded project called India Climate Action. To conclude, there's a need to harness the skills and energy of young people in order to respond effectively to the climate and environmental challenges facing the world. Therefore, we highly value working together with the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Climate Change, Government of India, in encouraging sustainable lifestyle for environment among school children. And now I'm very much looking forward to the next speakers who will share more about India's engagement for transformative green education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannah, for that very interesting address. Now I would like to request Honorable Minister, sir, to please release the book of paintings. This book is a compilation of paintings by school children, and along with the paintings, it's not just the paintings by the school children, the children have also written their thoughts about why they made that painting in a particular way. And along with the hardbound and print edition, there is also a digital edition of the book, which I request to play in the background. So we have several copies of the book here, as well as you can download it from online, the digital edition. Now, you're looking at the book a little. Now I now I'd like to request for releasing the calendar. I think it's already been released, and then we have published bookmarks and postcards because again these are including the paintings by school students from India that have been selected after an intense process. And now I would like to request the dignitaries to release the posters. So there are some posters that have been and I request to play a glimpse of 40 digital posters that have been shared. And now play a launch video of the posters. After that, we would like to play a video that has been prepared by taking inputs from small children. The title of the video is Small Steps, High Aspirations. So may I request to please play the video?
Climate is a setting of Earth, but it can never be changed suddenly. There may be some reasons for the climate change.
We are the reason, we human beings.
We burn petroleum and other fossil fuels without realizing that it can adversely impact the climate.
As teachers, I feel it is our job and our duty to prepare the students for the challenges that are coming up. And climate change is a major challenge that they will be facing.
ये सिर्फ हम लोगों का बेस बात करने में नहीं होगा या गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर ये हम लोग ये ट्रैवल डाल दिएगा तो नहीं होगा हम लोग के लिए. सो स्कूल में भी एक्टिविटी के ज़रिए हम लोग बच्चों को ये सब सिखाना बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंस है.
ये प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज होने चाहिए, बचपन से सिखाने पड़े. ये हाई स्कूल से सिखाने नहीं है, ये प्राइमरी स्कूल से सिखाने पड़े.
जैसे हम लोग कर रहे हैं, हम लोग हमारे सामने ही नदी अभी 100 मीटर पे है जहाँ पे इरोजन हमारे सामने हम देख रहे हैं. तो हम वहाँ पे हम लोग ने बहुत एक्टिविटीज़ टर्म पे ट्री प्लांटेशन की तरफ पे किया है कि जो ऐसे ट्रीज़ हैं जो इरोजन को रोकते हैं वहाँ पे हम लोग ने एज अ स्कूल सब बच्चों के साथ मिलके हम लोग ने वहाँ पे प्लांट किए हैं.
I think the 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle, are the very important thing that we need to prevent worse or a severe climate change to occur.
हम भी समय समय पर अपने विद्यालय के माध्यम से जन जागरूकता, वृक्षारोपण, जंगल अगर जलाओगे तो पानी कहाँ से लाओगे, ये तमाम तरह के कार्यक्रम करते हैं ताकि शिक्षण संस्थान से ही प्रकृति के संरक्षण की आवाज़ हम लोग उठा सके.
यदि यही कार्यक्रम को आम पिलामानकर पाठ्यक्रम अंतर्भुक्त कराता ताहले हुए तो भविष्य में प्राकृतिक विपर्य आसिले बन्या बात्या मरुड़ी जहाँ किसी आसिले आम निश्चिंत सम्मुखीन हो पारंतु.
जो हमारी नई राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति उसमें एक विषय है एक्सपीरियंस बेस्ड लर्निंग कि भाई आप स्कूल में बच्चों को पेड़ पौधों के विषय में जरा पढ़ाना है तो उनको जरा बगीचे में ले जाइए, गांव के बाहर जो पेड़ पौधे हैं वहाँ ले जाइए, पेड़ पौधों का परिचय करवाइए और इससे बच्चों में जीव विविधता के प्रति जागरूकता आएगी और पर्यावरण की रक्षा के लिए उनके दिल दिमाग में वो ऐसे बीज बो सकते हैं जो आने वाले समय में पर्यावरण की रक्षा के बहुत बड़े सिपाही बन गए।
Sir, thank you very much for releasing the book, the calendar, postcard, video, and other communication products. All these are available in digital as well as print format through us and NMNH. And now I would like to request the Honorable Minister to kindly give his keynote address.
Distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. You give me thanks that I am releasing these posters, but I give my thanks to you to give me an opportunity to release this stress-free, creative minds which shows by our children. From morning onward, we are talking about life, what is life, how we sustain the life, why life is important. The whole conference is very much concerned about 1.5 degree and all this thing. There is a couplet in Hindi which says, ये ग्रह हमको नहीं उत्तराधिकार में मिला है, ये हमको अपने बच्चों से उधार में मिला है. We are living on this planet. We are not getting this planet in a succession, but actually it is a loan to us. It is a credit on behalf of our coming generation. It is an obligation to us to give them a clean planet. So today is the 2022, where we will go in 2050 or 2060 or 2070. Yes, today India gave its long-term lower emission strategy. But we are only among the 60 countries. It is not the complete world. So those who will live in the next world and the next generation, so the GIZ and Natural History Museum providing them opportunity to come with their creativity, to come with their expression, to show their anxiety, to show their creativeness, how we will save this world with the concept of life. And it is my pleasure to be here and the part of the launch of very exciting products prepared from the painting of school children from India. I was delighted to go through the book, calendar, postcard, and the bookmark. And one can see that the children have not only expressed themselves in most beautiful colors, but also have laid bare their thoughts behind the painting. It shows how strongly children are keen to be a part of a climate action in a very positive way. I am happy to know that children in school who had taken part in painting competition have been inviting and they are participating virtually in this event. मुझे यहाँ पता तो नहीं लग रहा है कितने बच्चों ने ज्वाइन किया है, पर जो भी बच्चे भारत से हमको देख रहे हैं, मैं उनको बधाई देना चाहूँगा और मैं उनको कहना चाहूँगा कि ये कार्यक्रम हम जरूर इजिप्ट में कर रहे हैं, but those who participating virtually, those children will lead us to our future, and I am very glad to see that they are developing a deep understanding of the symbolic relationship between us and the environment at such a tender age. The consciousness and sensitivity toward the environment that these children are demonstrating give me a lot of hope that the future of not only our country but the whole world is very bright and sustainable. Through their creative imagination, the young kids have shown us that a small step can inspire mass action. हमारे प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने जो मिशन लाइफ दिया है और लगातार अभी उनका वीडियो भी हम दिखा रहे थे, उसमें बच्चों को बायोडाइवर्सिटी के लिए अपने आसपास के जगहों पे जाने के लिए वो इंस्पायर कर रहे हैं। मैं समझता हूँ जो बच्चे हिंदुस्तान से वर्चुअली हमको देख रहे हैं वो निश्चित रूप से इन चीज़ों को जीवन में उतारेंगे। इन द लास्ट वी लुक फॉरवर्ड टू मोर कोलैबोरेशन from children across the country and globe on leading a sustainable lifestyle, a lifestyle that is conscious about generation of unwanted waste, consuming resource in the right quantity, conserving the precious resource of nature, and living in harmony with nature. I would like to congratulate the National Museum of Natural History, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change for inviting school children to submit painting on lifestyle for environment, and then not only limiting to painting but also giving them a chance to explain the painting to the world through their words. I have been told that more than 16,000 school students across India participated in the unique competition reflecting on individual sustainable action that can be practiced in various parts of one's life, be it energy, food, water, waste or transportation. Some of the paintings have been displayed in the book and digital poster, but I see these as the collection of thought of 16,000 children who have expressed their support towards sustainable living, and this is the message that all of us should take away from here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your encouraging words and supporting us in partnering on this endeavor. Now I would like to invite Srimati Naz Rizvi, Director, National Museum of Natural History, NMNH, to share experiences of developing and implementing innovative learning spaces for children in India. May I request to play the presentation in the background?
Once again, a humble namaskar to all of you. Shri Bhupender Yadav, Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Ms. Namita Prasad, Joint Secretary, Ms. Hannah Reuter, Head of Team, Climate Team, GIZ, Shri Jay Kumar Gaurav, Senior Advisor, GIZ India, other dignitaries, guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and all our children, lovely children from India who are with us virtually on this platform. Right at the beginning, let me express my gratitude to the Honorable Minister for launching the products made from the paintings of school children. It is a big encouragement for the children to know that their positive and constructive thoughts on climate change are receiving attention from the world over. As we speak, we are also joined by scores of children who wholeheartedly and very creatively came up with the idea of these paintings and drew them in the calendar in the form of book, whether it is bookmark or postcard. We have actually presented their thoughts as it was, so as to preserve the unadulterated thought process that our children have for lifestyle for environment. As many of you might be knowing, that National Museum of Natural History is a non-profit permanent institution in the service of society that research, collect, conserve, interpret, and exhibits tangible and intangible heritage of the country. Open to public, it is accessible and inclusive, and fosters diversity and sustainability. It operates and communicates ethically, professionally, and with the participation of community, offering varied experiences for education, enjoyment, reflection, and knowledge sharing. Natural history museums preserve and exhibit important cultural, artistic, historic, and scientific artifacts. While these exhibits provide informative and visual exploration, there are many benefits to visiting these institutions. Simply put, museum help to teach, inspire, and connect communities, and at the same time, museum holds a mirror to the society. In my opinion, spaces that NMNH is working on exposing people to learn through interesting interactive exhibit is a very critical element in spreading awareness. The glimpses that you see on the screen are from many activities that NMNH has been undertaking through school children. GIZ India and NMNH are working together on the development of such interactive exhibits on climate change theme. These includes virtual reality handsets to help people experience and understand climate change, interactive digital games for children on multiple topics, games such as Snake and Ladder and Fortune Wheel adapted on climate change to name a few. These GIZ India and NMNH co-develop exhibits making learning a fun activity. People absorb ideas when it is self-paced, self-curated, and fun exercise. Along with these, we are co-developing exhibits on low per capita emission from India due to sustainable lifestyles, places for people to reflect on and nudge them to move towards an action that is positive, constructive, and away from non-scientific myths. It was felt the efforts of children could be a medium to spread a word on the need to adopt lifestyle for environment. GIZ India and MNH together came out with some very interesting communication product based on the painting which the Honorable Minister today launched. These products, be it calendar or bookmark, will not only act as an encouragement for children but also for everyone among us. In fact, many of these thoughts expressed through painting will be incorporated also into the learning space and interactive exhibits on climate change that is being developed. The idea presented in these paintings surely has encouraged us to include these elements into the interactive exhibits we have at our regional centers. We plan to take it further with the permission of Honorable Minister Shri Bhupendra Yadav and in cooperation with GIZ India. We are planning to host events for children, nudging them to think critically on lifestyle for environment and encouraging schools to come up with their own exhibit on the themes. Transformative education needs new idea, moving away from conventional education as it usually bound by textbook and four walls of schools. I believe the example I gave and many other activities that NMNH is undertaking, linking formal and non-formal system of education are good example to contributing towards transformative green education. I look forward for more creative and innovative techniques, tools and methods in developing and implementing learning mechanism on climate change and lifestyle for environment. NMNH is looking forward for more collaboration and fun-filled learning with children, youth and adults. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The activities that you have mentioned are very exciting, and it has been an interesting journey for GIZ India team as well to collaborate with NMNH. So thanks a lot for that. Now I would like to give a very short presentation about the work of GIZ India in developing learning spaces on climate change in the school ecosystem. Next slide, please. So the best part of it is that our National Education Policy 2020 focuses on holistic and multidisciplinary education, and it can't be limited to a classroom setting. In addition, climate education is specifically mentioned in our National Education Policy. Therefore, enhancing essential learning and critical thinking on climate change is required, and that's where the experiential learning, integrated inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented learning center approach is what we are trying to promote through our collaboration. MOEFCC has requested the Indo-German Technical Cooperation to explore and facilitate learning spaces. We call them climate change learning labs or climate change learning spaces. And these are going to be either in the schools or in school ecosystems like the museums. Next slide, please. So how do we communicate climate change to children? And why? So the most important thing is that children are able to relate to climate and understand what climate change is going to do to their lives and what they can do about it. Then enabling school children to understand the science of climate change. It's already a part of syllabus, but if you have a practical understanding of the topic, then it's more effective. Then third component is motivating school-based activities. So it could be very simple activities like plantations or like now we have the 75 suggestions from the mission life that could be sort of promoted through the school environment as well. And then creating a climate change literate young generation is what is the objective of our collaboration. Next slide. So what are these learning spaces? A learning space is where you can relate to a topic, you can explore more about the topic, you can understand about the topic and then act on it. So that's why we want to go beyond books and four walls of a classroom to an actual physical space where we can learn, explore, relate, understand and act. Next slide. So we have a two-pronged approach. One is that we are supporting development of roadmaps for climate change education in schools, as well as we are doing pilot learning spaces. The best example is we are going to have first few learning spaces in NMNH, museums, and then we are going to maybe disseminate or replicate those spaces in school environments as well or other institutions. Also, in joint consultation with partners like NCERT, it's like the education body of Government of India. We are going to create a roadmap for how climate change education should be promoted at the school level. Next slide, please. These are some details of the learning spaces that we have designed. It starts from learning zone 1 where you experience climate change. That's where virtual reality or videos about climate impacts are very helpful. Then the learning zone 2 is understanding the science and accepting that it's a complex topic. One doesn't need to understand everything about climate change to act on it. And then the third is moving towards action. So what small steps, large steps that school students can take to actually implement climate action. So these are like the three learning zones that we have planned. It's you start with learning zone 1, 2 and 3. Next slide, please. Actually, this school idea is an extension of our already existing idea of climate change learning spaces for adults. So this is a climate change learning lab that we have established at the Bankers Institute for Rural Development. It's in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. It's with the National Agricultural Bank for Rural Development. And it is for professionals, adults who are working in different sectors or even related to climate change, and in this place particularly bankers, where they can go and learn about climate change in a non-stressful or non-classroom based environment. So you have a walkover in the space and you learn about climate change. And again, we are using different types of aids like virtual reality, videos, and there are spaces where you have to just think about what you would do in a particular scenario. So there are games on climate change as well. Next slide. Then we have made a classroom which is depicting the 5 elements of Earth: water, fire on the wall, vertical garden inside the classrooms, roof designed as either, and ventilated rooms on air. Next slide. So we are also supporting a national consultation on climate change and education. And the objective is to identify and recommend topics on climate change that and how to learn about those topics. So it's a very detailed, deliberative process. There are already some workshops and consultations that have happened, and we are going to do more of those, and then come up with final recommendations of how to take forward climate education in India. Next slide. So the next steps, sort of just to present that we are in the process of developing 4 regional museums of NMNH, some learning spaces in these. These include Savai Madhopur, Bhopal, Bhubaneswar and Mysore. So these stations will be installed in the existing, they are already existing museums, and these learning spaces will be installed in these museums, and then we will have an iterative process of improving and learning. Just to highlight the SPIPA project that was mentioned by Madam Rotter, has already developed a climate change learning lab at Patna Zoo. So it's the zoological park in the city, and it also has a climate change learning lab. So visitors of the zoo can also learn about climate change. And then we are also developing 3 labs in Gujarat, Kerala and Haryana. These are in different institutions. So in case of Gujarat, it is in the Science City in Ahmedabad. In Kerala, it is in a water museum. It's a very unique museum for water in Kozhikode. And in Haryana, it is going to be at at a eco resort kind of thing, which is a forest department owned property. And it's called Thapli Nature Camp, where you can stay as well as learn about climate change. And there are other aspects related to biodiversity as well at the center. So with this, I would like to close the presentation from GIZ, and to give the vote of thanks for this session, I would like to invite my colleague Dr. C.R. Magesh, scientist NMNH, for the vote of thanks. Thank
you. Namaskar and very good afternoon to everyone. It has been an honor to be the part of the team that is working on transformative education as a part of National Museum of Natural History team. I would like to extend a wholehearted thanks to the Honorable Minister, Sri Bhupendra Yadavji, Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, for gracing this session. Sir, your words are always very encouraging and will motivate all of us, including the school children who are attending this session using the live stream. Thank you so much, sir, for releasing the book, calendar, posters, postcard, and bookmark, as well as the video. We will be making all of them to the future, the message of lifestyle for environment. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to extend thanks to Dr. Namita Prasad, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Ma'am, you have been with us throughout the process, giving valuable directions and suggestions. We continue to look forward to your leadership in all the activities. Thank you, ma'am, for the support, guidance that you have provided us. A big thanks to Ms. Hannah Reuter, Head Climate, Asia Pacific, Latin America, and Caribbean region, GIZ. Ma'am, we are grateful to GIZ for providing the technical support in developing wonderful interactive exhibitions and developing our own capacities in the process. I would like to extend my thanks to Srimati Naz Razviji, Director, National Museum of Natural History. I have been lucky to have the chance to work with her very closely on some of the most exciting activities on education and extension. She has been spearhead development of new landing space, creative design, and scientific and systematic process to institutionalize capacities. Thank you, ma'am, for your leadership, and I look forward to more exciting activities that are planned for lifestyle for environment. My heartfelt thanks to Jai Kumar Gauravji, Senior Advisor GIZ, for explaining the landing space. I would also like to thank, who are not present physically here, the school children, teachers and school authorities who have joined virtually, with whose involvement nothing is impossible, officers of colleagues such as Ashwinji and Gayatriji, who has worked with me tremendously for this project. And finally, I thank the NMNH staff, and I hope you all take forward the message of lifestyle of the environment through our beautiful product. Thank you once again. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a session on India's climate-friendly sustainable lifestyle, transformational solutions towards sustainable consumption pathways, circular economy, and creating a low-carbon society. Joining us, we have Madam Ruchika Daral, Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Mr. Binay Jha, Director, Clean India Mission, Swachh Bharat Mission, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, Mr. Arvind Bodhankar from Dalmia Cement, Mr. Sudhir Kumar, Advisor, NITI Aayog, and Mr. Patrick Bucher, Specialist Planner, GIZ International, GIZ GmbH. Sustainable consumption patterns, reduction of plastic and management of waste are priority areas for Government of India, and it is already reflected in various policies and programs, including the National Resource Efficiency Policy, Ban on Single-Use Plastic, EPR, and the Clean India Mission. Although our per capita resource consumption is still quite low, between 1980 and 2009, the total material consumption has increased by 184%, making India the third largest consumer of materials. This side event is focusing on India's climate-friendly sustainable lifestyle solutions at the national level and going down to the local level. And we are going to explain how these initiatives contribute to the transition towards a circular economy and help in India meeting its climate goals. This side event will showcase achievements as well as different measures that are being implemented by various institutions and programs in India. To begin with, as an example, I would like to share a brief presentation about one of the projects we are implementing. It's called Waste Solutions for a Circular Economy in India. It's a project funded by the NAMA facility, which is a multi-donor fund, including the German government, European Union, Danish government, British government, and the Children Investment Fund. This project has been in operation since 2020, September 2020, and next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So the key areas and work priorities of this project include behavioral change for low carbon waste management. As part of this initiative, we are aiming to reach around 11.9 million citizens directly in promoting source segregation at the household level. Already it is a part of the Clean India mission, but we are helping in accelerating the adoption of source segregation at the household level. Our aim is that 50% are implementing source segregation, although in certain cities it is already at a very high percentage. We have created multiple awareness events, around 100 of them already, and we are already observing a behavioral change in the 5 pilot cities where we are working. In addition to source segregation, we are promoting home composting as well as community composting in the city of Bangalore, Trichy, Varanasi, and the state of Goa. On the technology side, we are promoting composting, biomethanation, refuse-derived fuel, material recovery facilities, followed by recycling. The aim of all these 4 technologies, these are the selected technologies in the project. All these 4 technologies have a lot of climate change mitigation impact, because when you process waste through any of these technologies, you avoid landfilling of waste and emissions, methane emissions. In addition, we are focusing a lot on capacity building of stakeholders, including the urban local body officials, starting from the sanitation workers, as well as there is a big component on capacity building of the informal sector, so that they can become part of the formal waste value chain and support in source segregation, composting, material recovery facility, and recycling. The last component of the project, 4th component of the project, is an innovative financial mechanism called a risk sharing facility, which provides loan guarantees to waste sector entrepreneurs, because they face a lot of challenge in accessing loans from conventional financing institutions. So just sharing an example of this project, which is also promoting circular economy, sustainable consumption, and helping in creating a low carbon society. All these activities in a way also contribute to the LIFE mission, and you would see the 75 suggestions that have been provided by the LIFE mission, including many of these activities related to low carbon waste management. Now, I would like to invite Ruchika Dral ma'am, Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, to give her a special address. Welcome.
Thank you, Gaurav, and all the learned delegates on the dais and in front of the dais. It is my absolute pleasure to be speaking on this important subject of waste management, circular economy, and low carbon society. Since morning we have been talking about the life mission, that is the lifestyle for environment. However, this particular session focuses on the transformational solutions that are really the pathways towards the circular economy and low carbon society. Sustainable consumption is, as we all understand, is key to the development or the sustainable development of some of the emerging economies of the world. And it has actually led to a lot of problems also. The development, the development aspirations and the needs of the society have actually resulted in unprecedented impacts on the environment and the resulting changes in climate. As Jay mentioned, India has been one of the lowest per capita consumers of energy and material historically. However, as we go towards our development aspirations, we expect to increase our consumption of energy as well as material. However, we are committed to do that in a responsible and environment friendly manner, which is very much reflected in the mission life that we have launched for the world. The challenges of climate change and environmental degradations are actually the consequences of the unmindful and unmindful consumption and the choices and the linear patterns of production and consumption. Therefore, the life mission focuses on preserving and protecting the environment, and it also intends to do that in a very democratic manner where each of the individual can make a contribution at their own level. The mission as it stands today enlists about 75 actions which cover different aspects of our daily needs. That includes energy, water saving, single-use plastics, sustainable food systems, waste reduction, healthy lifestyles, and e-waste. And this whole concept of reduce, reuse, and recycle is actually the backbone of the circular economy and the low carbon society. The life mission on the same lines is trying to nudge individuals to adopt those principles and go for some of the very simple yet environment friendly and mindful choices in the daily lives. It envisages to create the demand for the low carbon and sustainable products for the society, and at the same time help in trying to meet those demands through production of sustainable products and encouraging that through the governmental policy initiatives. There have been several policies and programs across the ministries of Government of India to promote this sustainable consumption, resource efficiency, and circular economy. Some of the key areas which have been already addressed by Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change have been done through the 6 waste management rules that have been published by the ministry, that covers municipal solid waste, e-waste, biomedical waste, hazardous waste, construction and demolition waste. And in addition to these policies, the ministry is also considering to come up with the standards and rules for end-of-life vehicle and a tire also. And the rules basically that I enlisted emphasize on the citizens' involvement in management and segregation of the solid waste. all the bulk waste generators are required to implement their decentralized waste management facilities to ensure that there is no harmful impact on the environment. Parallelly, the extended producer responsibility is a very important initiative that has been associated with the plastic and e-waste management rules. Under these EPR mechanism, the producers, importers and brand owners are mandated to support the recycling and environment friendly management of the waste that they are inducing into the whole ecosystem. And the annual targets and the performance and compliance to all these wastes is being monitored by the ministry through the online portal. And we expect to extend this extended producer responsibility mechanism to some of the other waste streams also. On this platform, I'll take this opportunity to thank my colleagues from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs for spearheading a very successful solid waste management drive across the country through the flagship scheme of Swachh Bharat Mission, or Clean India Mission that we call. The Clean India Mission has supported the urban local bodies and the private sector to get involved in the management of the solid waste and meet the requirements set forth through the rules. Additionally, all these practices for the responsible management of waste has resulted in a corresponding reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, which would have happened if that waste would have been dumped in the landfills in the form of methane emissions. So, covering all these tenets of management of available resources and eliminating what is not required, there have been several initiatives at the national level, and India is proudly one of the top recyclers of waste in the world. And so far we have been extensively doing that through our informal sector, and going forward we hope to formalize this whole process and do it in a better and efficient manner. And India traditionally has been home to very sustainable and resource efficient traditions and daily lifestyles. So we have several opportunities to offer to the world and help them change their behavior towards a more sustainable, climate resilient and responsible lifestyle, which have been traditionally embedded into our culture. So we urge all the individuals at their individual levels to get associated with the life movement, that is the lifestyle for environment, and try to bring in small yet meaningful changes in the everyday choices they make with respect to their own lifestyles. So I would want to end my address with these words, and we look forward to involvement of each individual community and the country in this global movement, which is directed towards the preservation of our only planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very inspiring and informative address, and highlighting the various initiatives that are being spearheaded by MOEFCC, and also briefly mentioning about Mahua's initiatives. So now I would like to invite Mr. Binay Jha, Director, Swachh Bharat Mission or Clean India Mission, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to give his special address focusing on the Swachh Bharat Mission and its contribution to sustainable lifestyles and climate change mitigation. Welcome, sir. Please upload the presentation.
Thank you, Jay, and all the present distinguished guests here. On behalf of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and dealing with the Swachh Bharat Mission initiative, as Deputy Secretary MOEFCC just highlighted, that how the policy is being converted into action. So the Ministry of Environment creates a policy, and bringing into action is the responsibility of the urban local bodies. So the Swachh Bharat mission, the Clean India mission, is one of the initiative taken by our Honorable Prime Minister. It is now running into 8th year of its mission. Next slide, please. So this mission started in 2014, the first with a very noble objective of making the country as an open defecation. The क्या बोलूं? So the initial target was to make our country open defecation, as this was the requirement of the time. So now we can say with proud that by 2019, all rural population and the urban population, it is free from open defecation. We have created 10 crores of toilet, 100 million toilet in the whole country, in the urban and rural areas. And the another major objective was solid waste management. And after this 2019, the main, again, the mission was taken the shape of Swachh Bharat Mission 2 initiative, where our main objective is to create our cities garbage free. Earlier in the mission 1, it was ODF, now it is the GFC. So what is GFC? How we can say our cities, it's a garbage free? 100% door-to-door collection every day. It's a door-to-door collection from cities, segregated collection from household, and scientific solid waste management, processing of the waste, and all the remediation of all our dump site. These are the some of the main areas which focuses in making our cities GFC. So what is the waste scenario in India? Today, we are generating approximately 1.5 lakh ton of solid waste every day. And out of that, 93.8% is getting collected and 73% is being processed. Still, we are 27% less than the 100% processing. So what we have to achieve by 2026, we have to achieve the target of 100% processing. We started from 16% processing in 2014-15, and now it is 73%. If we see, this is the hierarchy and the circular economy principle which is embedded in our Swachh Bharat mission's action. So segregation at source, composting and biomethanation. In the first phase, we adopted biomethanation practices. Right now in our country, approximately 40,000 tons capacity of biomethanation is there in the whole country. And 15,000 ton is for, TPD is for biomethanation. Gradually, as our cities are segregating waste, we are moving towards biomethanation. And again, for the dry waste, there is a material recovery facility. We have the capacity of approximately 45,000 tons per day processing of MRF in our country. So I'll just show what exactly is the capacity, as I told that this is the converting thoughts into action. So we have 30,000 tons compost plant, 15,000 tons this biomethanation plant. So approximately 45,000 tons we are doing with out of the 75,000, 45,000 is from these two processes. And these are the dry waste processing plants. We have operational approximately 2,028 plants and approximately 45,000 tons. Our target is, in India, there is 4,800 cities nowadays. So our target is to create, at least in the smaller town as well, at least one MRF in all towns. So these are some of the, according to the requirement of the cities, kind of MRF is being fitted. If suppose the city is of million plus, then automated MRF. If it is less than, it's a 100,000 to million, it's a semi-automated. So all kind of designs are available according to the requirement of the cities. Apart from this, we are also doing this C&D processing facility. Right now, we have approximately 15,000 tons of C&D waste processing capacity, and additional 15,000 tons we are creating for the whole country. And we have calculated all our NCAP city. NCAP city is, as MOEFCC has declared, 122 cities. We have further gone 122 plus some more than 500,000 population. We are we are installing one C&D plant in all cities. And the plastic waste, as it was told that plastic waste management, plus all our states have enforced the plastic ban notification. Yes, it is not fully implemented. Gradually it is picking up through capacity building and awareness generation. But now its action is on proper direction. That these SUP bans have been created, and it's have been notified, and the fines is being imposed. And in all our measurement, all our we are also measuring how cities are effectively working on this. Next comes this. This was for the action on the day-to-day waste being generated. So what we are doing with our old legacy? We have a legacy dump site of approximately 16 crore tons. It will be approximately 160 million tons. 160 million tons spread over 2,200 cities that we have to remove. And this has captured mostly the valuable land of 15,000 acres under this legacy dump site. So what we are doing, our target is in the SBM2, Clean India Mission 2. We have taken action to remove all the dump site. The action, it's very rapidly in all our country, the cities are adopting this. The landfills are being created into urban lungs. So these are some of the completed landfills and the places and ongoing landfills. And this is one of the component what we have financed also. As these things directly affect the GHG emission. So by achieving this 74% of this waste processing, our GHG emission is cumulatively, it has reduced by 17.42 million tons. And it is the target by 2030, it has potential to reduce 101 million tons of CO2 annually from municipal solid waste and landfill sites. So this is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a very informative presentation and highlighting how India is sort of reducing the emissions from the municipal solid waste management sector, as well as creating livelihoods and creating a cleaner environment around us. Now I would like to invite Mr. Arvind Bodhankar. He is from Dalmia Cement, representing the private sector, and will be presenting on business models for circular economy.
Thank you, Jay, and good evening. Thank you, GIZ. I have got a very small presentation, 10 slide. I have been given 10 minutes to present. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, okay. This one, green one. So this is the definition of circularity. All of you would say, "Arey yaar, Arvind, ye kya bata rahe ho aap?" Everybody knows this definition, but there is a story behind it. And a few years back, I was working as a chief sustainability officer for one of the largest automobile company, Tata Motors, and Alan MacArthur, who founded this term, who coined this term, circular economy. They approached me and Arvind, we would like to work with you on circular economy. And I said, what is the circular economy means? So they say, we can either extend the life or we can recycle this thing. I said, all of this we are already doing. In fact, this is in the DNA of the Indian people. The shirt which I am wearing, I think 4 years back I had purchased this. And just because now I have gained the weight, I may have to throw it. But I'm sure when I try to throw it, my wife would give it to somebody else, who collects the old clothes, and either he will have a reuse or they will cut something into make some bags out of it, and then again use it, and finally somebody will use for cleaning his car or something, and eventually somebody will burn it into the chulhas and take out the energy value out of it. So that's there in the DNA of the Indian people, and we need not have to teach about how to extend the life or how to make the best use of the natural resources we have. But the point is that then when I heard Alan MacArthur people for some time, I realized that what these people are talking is, it makes sense, organizing everything together. While we have everything is in unorganized manner. Sir presented that almost 73% of waste is being recycled, but that's also in a very unorganized manner, and it has to be organized. And that's what 8-10 points which I have put up over here, which needs to be organized. There is a lot of support required from industry, trade association, government side, and I am going to take the advantage of Ruchika madam and also Vinay sir, who they are sitting over here. Some of the policy things which as a sustainability professional, when I want to drive in either steel industry or cement industry or the automobile industry, these are absolutely necessary. So circular economy is nothing but, how long you can use the product. Just try and, do not consume the fresh product or the virgin material. Now coming to the Indian economy, and some of the numbers Jay has already shared. We are poised to be a 5 trillion economy. Our Prime Minister has said that by 2025 we want to be. Even if it is not 2025, 1 year here and there, we will be there. The consumption per capita is lowest, of course, 5.5 tons among the OECD nations. But there exists a CE opportunity of almost $0.5 trillion. And globally, this opportunity is much larger, that is 4.5. And we must tap this opportunity. That's what I feel. Now, some of the actions what we require to tap this opportunity is, first thing which is very important is create the awareness among the people. The awareness is not there. Within the industrial sector, I'm talking about. Individual, yes, we do have. Some awareness has to be there, like source segregation and all, which needs to be done. There has to be a commitment. Each of the organization has to commit that we want to reduce our fresh raw material consumption from here to here, and that's essential. 27% of the top 100 companies, listed companies, only disclose their targets on circular economy. Now, balance 73%, and all the other industry also needs to disclose the target. Circular economy has to be a part of their KPI or the performance what they are giving. All of you know that in last year in Glasgow, our Prime Minister said that we will be carbon neutral by 2070. Now, one of the levers for becoming a carbon neutral is circular economy, and there stands an opportunity of almost 20% if we recycle the material. And that's great. When I talk at the end what Dalmia Cement has done, you will realize that yes, there stands an opportunity. Some more actions which we need is national level circular economy framework is required. There has to be a standardized operating. Now different companies are saying that my circular economy, the waste recycling is this much. Somebody else is saying, so there is no standard across the industry, so that standardization has to be there, benchmarking has to be there, whether it is a global player, whether it is a Indian player, the benchmarking has to be there. The most important thing is supporting policies are required. Now policies, I'll talk a little later about it. And on the technology side, we need to have the indigenized technology. We don't have to be dependent on the developed world for supplying technology because it's very expensive. We need to have sharpen our learning curves as fast as possible. We need to learn, and we need to increase the spending on investment. On the governance side, within the company, the performance has to be reviewed by the CEO and none other than the CEO. If the focus of CEO is there, then only there is a possibility that people who are working over there may get sensitized, and my boss is looking at this, so I must also be looking at this. And the KPIs has to be integrated with the senior management people within the organization. Like if I am held responsible for certain things, definitely I am going to deliver. If my boss is asking, or if my boss has asked me to go and present at the COP, I came over here. I had no other choice than to come over here. So if boss is asking, I had to do, and boss is always right. So it has to be integrated with the KPIs. And then unless and until there is a market demand for the recycled product, nobody is going to get motivated about it. So market demand, how it will come? You need to have a eco-labeling. You need to have premium for circular economy, and CE has to be included into school children, so that like you people are doing, if circular economy is included and people, if the kids understand that the circular products are essential, they start demanding circular product. I'm sure this is going to have a better this thing. Now the same thing quickly, I have segregated industry-wise and also as far as the government and the trade association side. So on the operation side, what we need to do is waste to energy, waste heat recovery, those kind of things are essential. On the water side, it should be zero discharge. So make sure that all the organizations which are there try to be zero discharge and no water is going out, because water is also precious. While raw material is precious, water is also precious, and we need to make sure that the raw material is the water is recycled. Similarly, every company should commit that we should be a zero waste to landfill site. Now on the product and services side, design for circularity, the product, and I was a part of Tata Motors. We designed for environment. The vehicle which was there, I'm very proud that when I left that company, 85% of our trucks were recyclable, except the glass and the batteries. Now glass requires a lot of energy to recycle, that's why it was not recycled. But otherwise, and battery being a hazardous waste, the outer plastic, yes, it used to be recycled, but the internal components and all otherwise every component of the truck was getting recycled, and today I think 90% of the truck is getting recycled. Then of course we need to have repair, reuse, recycle, all 5 hours, 7 hours nowadays. N number of hours are there, and we can all are important, but the extension of life has to happen. Somebody has to reuse that material, that can be there. Culture is very important. Culture has to be a leadership driven, as I mentioned. It should be a CEO led initiative. Employee engagement is also very essential, because unless and until you have engaged employee, you can't drive the circular economy. And finally, governance has to be there. Board has to review this. Whatever initiatives you are taking has to be, then only there will be a sensitivity around it. Circular input, we can have in cement industry, all of you know that we have been using a lot of fly ash, a lot of gypsum, a lot of slag, bauxite residue, and in my own company, the 60% of the, rather 80% of the product is manufactured by the recycled material. And I'm very proud to say that 80% of my revenue comes from the product which is recycled. Only 20% of the cement which I produce is made up of virgin material. So that it has to be there. In steel industry, we of course need to have automobile scrap going in. And in automobile industry, again, when I was a part of Tata Motors, our subsidiary company Jaguar Land Rover had already put up a recycled aluminum engine, which was there. And my own peer company Hindalco had worked with them, Novelis had worked with them, and we had developed this engine over there. In the sugar factory, in the chemical side, when we do the sugar factory, a lot of from the effluent, you need to recover you have an opportunity to recover the ingredients, and we can use it on the product and product as a service, I would say. When I say product as a service, we should start car rental services, furniture rental services, those kind of things can help, and we can share that. Earlier the thing was that no, I'm a elite person, I need to own a car. So car sharing, carpooling, those kind of things were considered, no, that's not something which I should be doing, or I will not do that. So that has to be developed. And product life extension, which is almost essential, we need to repair that. Few people don't repair, and few people, almost everybody don't repair. Even in India nowadays, we have seen the culture of use and throw. Earlier days, I remember we used to stitch the shirts, and till the time end of the complete academic year, we never used to change the shirt. So extension of life is almost essential. Now, some of the actions from government and trade association side, I am saying that they need to work on ecosystem. And remind me about the time, so tell me. And so first thing is policies, then measurement framework has to be there. Whatever is measured can be improved. So you need to measure essentially circular economy. Unfortunately, that measurement is not there. I am working with FICCI and Accenture to develop that mechanism. I am also on the committee of FICCI's committee of National Committee on Circular Economy, and we are working on it. There has to be incentives and policies. Those who are doing good job, they should be incentivized. Those who are not doing a good job should be penalized. Investment has to come. There has to be a collaboration within industry, within trade association. We have seen that people are operating in silos and they don't collaborate. There has to be sharing, and there has to be a digital market. So like we tried this initiative few years back, but it's not getting that much successful. Few private players are also there. But if ministry or trade associations are taking it a digital platform, that I have got this material lying as a waste, this can be a raw material for somebody else. So that will be a very useful thing we can make. Cement industry has done a lot in circular economy. Cement industry is on a lighter note considered as a scavenger, and almost every waste which is coming is using cement. And sir is here. I can tell you, sir, C&D waste, we need to do a lot of work. There is a potential. We have been trying to use C&D waste in the cement industry. So there we can waste it recovery and all. Of course, the Indian cement industry is much ahead of the global cement player. The energy footprint of our energy and carbon footprint is much lower as compared to the other player. I represent a company, Dalmia. We have been practicing all these things. I don't want to tell you, you can refer to it. But we are the first company, first heavy industry, in fact, who has committed that carbon neutral by 2040. And I'm proud to say that in last 3 years, we have achieved almost 10% reduction on the baseline, which nobody else could have done. CDP has recognized my company as the most carbon efficient company that CDP has already certified. Now, some of the specific actions, since Madam is from MOUF, this is my last slide, and Vinayji is from the urban local body. So hazardous waste management. So there is a right now restriction on transboundary movement. Once you cannot transport it from one state to another state, then there is a prerequisite requirement from MOU from the cement plants that that should be for a red industry has to there should be a prerequisite that every company has to send it to the cement industry. Then waste management hierarchy has to be changed. Co-processing has to be put on the top of the this thing. Digitization I already talked about. Collection and development of biomass. So we need to, like somebody was mentioning in the morning about the the parali or the stubble burning. So there has to be an organized effort taken that this parali has to be, cement industry is ready to use this. Urban local body, right now the eligibility criteria, cement industry doesn't fit into that. But on the same side, what you mentioned about 73%, I am sure most of that municipal solid waste is consumed by the cement industry, and cement industry is ready to take entire waste if properly processed and segregated. So cement industry should be given a preference and they should qualify. And also, as far as RDF is concerned, cement industry should be given a priority into that. So cement industry is ready to take everything. My product is almost 80% from the recycle. I have a plan to go by 2035, 100% product has to be made from cement, this thing. And we are committed for carbon neutral. Let me take a pause over here. If there are any questions, we'll take later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arvind, and quite a lot of initiatives you mentioned, as well as a lot of recommendations for the policy makers. Now I would like to invite Mr. Sudhir Kumar. He's advisor NITI Aayog. For those who don't know NITI Aayog is like the think tank of the government of India. And I invite you, sir, for your address.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's quite a long day, and distinguished guests here, my co-panelists and ladies and gentlemen. I would be giving the kind of for 10 minutes in three parts. First is how we circular economy connect to COP agenda. Another will share a kind of video for around 2.5 minutes for the kind of recycling industry looks like in India, and that to the organized one, because a lot of recycling happens in the unorganized sector. And through the visuals you will understand, means gather a perspective how it looks like, what the challenges might be. And thereafter I'll be touching upon what India kind of directions we have been taking in circular economy in last 2.5 years, and that too mainly in the COVID period. And thereafter I would be concluding. So it's something, the COP agenda is on the mitigation and the adaptation. It says the COP, this, while we are sitting here, bold and immediate actions on mitigations. And beyond, on the adaptation, it says beyond the global goals on adaptation, COP27 should witness enhanced global agenda for adaptation. So it's something, it's not something what we have already agreed, maybe we have to go beyond that. It again says on the finance part that has to build trust. And circular economy, if we go by the, the kind of understanding we have, it's not a default situation. Circular economy by Alan MacArthur, it say it has to be by design. So if something is to be designed, then there is role for some conceptualization, some strategy, and where we came in the whole process, because our circular economy operates in different segments, and the industry operating, they always say where should I go to resolve my problems, either regulatory one or the developmental one. So that has been the biggest challenge, and that we tried to attempt in the last 2.5 years. So this agenda and some of the another key features of circular economy relates to the, it's a new way of creating value, and it's something restorative by design, and it integrates the waste perspective and the material circularity perspectives. So the whole focus last 20-30 years has been on the waste side, hazardous waste. But when we see from the material circularity, what we say that we have to use our resources more efficiently, then this circular economy perspectives integrate both of these. And here the SDG 14, that couples the two different dimensions. One is the sustainable production and the sustainable consumption. The whole life initiative on the sustainable consumption, that is lifestyle from the environment, that is from the, say, more from the consumption perspective. But what about the sustainable production? And if we have to look around the possibilities for having sustainable production, then I think the principles of the circular economy, if we adopt, then there is a possibility that we can go more towards sustainable production. So with these words, I'll just say to share, this is a video shared by one of the industry who does the recycling for the waste batteries, and another the waste wires and extracting the copper. Around only 10% of the recycling for these products happen in the organized sector. Another largely it happens in the unorganized. As my friend told that except the batteries, we did recycled everything. But now there are this extended producers responsibilities for the batteries also, and hopefully we'll be switching over to more and more organized recycling, currently somewhere from 10% to 14% in next 3 to 4 years, based on the kind of responsibilities entrusted to the batteries recyclers. So this video, it's what it just want to emphasize that the end of life products and the post consumption waste, consumer waste or whatever, are the biggest challenges to environment, and where the recycling industry comes in to tackle all these twin issues, end of life items and the post consumption waste. So I happened to visit to this industry also a couple of days back. I also had a short video at these all are batteries. So this is all what it looks like, recovery of the copper and the recovery of the lead from the waste batteries. and lead being very carcinogenic, and say these industry, these units are also subject to the pollution standards and the the practices adopted therein. And like I'll be just switching over to what we did last 2.5 years. Frankly speaking, we were also not using this circular economy terminology or the policy directions what it can before 2018. With GIZ, we did couple of projects and the kind of perspective the EU is taking around the circular economy. And we were also a little more focused around the waste perspective and utilization of the waste for through recycling. But in say 2020, sometime in April 2020, when the COVID also got set in, we constituted 11 committees in the NITI Aayog, and the idea was to have some kind of conceptualization, but the implementation and the larger perspective is to be developed by the respective ministries. We did something for the lithium. These were not only for the existing waste systems, but the new emerging waste systems like lithium ion batteries, that will be again a coming up challenge, and the solar panels, agri waste, used oil waste, toxic hazardous waste, end of life of vehicles. That's what we call the scrappage policy, tires and rubbers. So these sectors we try to identify what kind of circular economy initiatives can be taken and what kind of regulatory and the developmental measures will be required to make that operational. So that was the whole exercise that was done by different ministries, and they came up with a kind of action plans broadly bucketed into the kind of regulatory actions. And the regulatory instrument in these cases has been the extended producer's responsibility. And the extended producer's responsibility basically links the kind of end of life challenges of the products of the companies, as well as how they can be made more responsible towards their end of life products. So based on these recommendations and the uh, Ministry of Environment, they have come up with the different EPRs, like for plastics, for the tires, for the batteries also currently, and the revision in the e-waste rule. Now the e-waste rules, the scope has been enlarged quite a lot currently this year, as well as there has been some new perspective, new dimensions in the EPR also, that's relate to the not only the collection targets, but the recycled content utilization targets also. So say for example in batteries, they will be required to utilize the up to 30% of the recycled content over a period of time, that has to gradually go up also. So these are the new innovative, not innovative, I would say progressive ideas that have been built into the EPR system that we are trying to adopt, along with a strong digital dimension, like everything EPR responsibilities and their you know and the fulfillment of the EPR obligation, that will be done through a very strong digital backbone through the platform, and so that the regulatory burdens are minimum. But going forward, this is a very evolving kind of environment, and nothing is static, either in terms of regulations or in terms of the facilitative measures required to make the circular economy operational in some of these selected areas. So as and when the challenges will be arising, we'll be attempting them, so that these circular economy business models, they can work through the business models and more through the less regulatory burdens with more innovation, and they all support the all COP objectives of lesser mitigation and the adaptation, so that have lesser environmental footprint by these production systems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I have a request to the dignitaries on the dais. As part of one of the projects called Institutionalizing Capacities on Climate Change, we organized a climate dialogue series that included several dialogues on circular economy as well. And Ruchika ma'am has been part of many of those dialogues as well. So we have published the summary of the dialogue series in a form of a small booklet, which I request the dignitaries to launch. I am just distributing. So thank you for launching the publication, and now I request my colleague Patrick to summarize the event as well as give his closing remarks. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jay. Yes, what an interesting hour it has been. So I was aware about some developments in terms of circular economy in India, but I wasn't really quite aware about the entire scale of the latest development. So I'm really impressed, I have to say, as well, taking into account the sheer size and number of population you have. So actually, then getting control over circular economy is actually a rather large endeavor. So I'm really impressed. So, honorable panelists, dear distinguished guests, I think we are all aware of the really negative effects of untreated municipal solid waste. So we've heard about water pollution, we've heard about air pollution, greenhouse gas emissions. My background is actually I'm an air pollution scientist. So that was the first time I came to India as well in 2006. And ever since I've seen, of course, there are more and more people now who produce waste, but I have actually seen over the last years, especially, a lot of signs of these, of the recycling facilities. So there is definitely a very good, momentum going there. So that's really great. And I should mention as well one thing. We've had a lot of talk during this COP already about methane. And the waste and wastewater sector is approximately contributing 20% to the methane problem, so to speak. So it is rather important as well from a climate perspective, really, to get control on this air pollutant, as well because it's a precursor for ozone, which again has negative effects on human health and agricultural productivity. So I'm really very pleased to hear what's going on in India. And we have to implement, and you've shown how to do that, a low-carbon waste management solution. We have heard about quite a few measures and techniques. Single-use plastics should be banned or replaced. Composting has been promoted, biomethanation, material recovery facility, and recycling, and so on. So it's really great to hear all this. And the good thing as well is that it's a good job creator, and I think that is something. When we look at Germany, for example, so by now there are about 200,000 people working in the waste sector. So if I scale that up to your population, it could be more than 3 million people working in the waste sector, you know, and I'm talking about formal jobs in the future. So there's really a great potential. And we've learned that one of the really important things is that we have to start, all of us, to segregate waste at the household level. Again, I think I could probably quickly describe what has happened over the last decades in Germany, my native Germany. So I remember when I was growing up as a child in the 1970s, people started to talk about maybe separating paper, maybe a little bit of plastic, and then, you know, in the 80s there were the first bins for recyclables, and by now really we are recycling a large majority of our waste. And I have to say, it wasn't always plain sailing, so we needed as well some incentives. So for example, today, if you have you know, water bottles, like you can see over here as well in the plenary, you know, water bottles, you get, for each water bottle you return, you get some small money in Germany. So there is not a single water bottle sold where you don't get a deposit on. So it's really, you know, you have to incentivize this in a way. We have a great second-hand market as well coming up, and it's really great to see that especially this source segregation is now part of the Swachh Bharat mission, the Clean India mission. So it's really great to see and to hear that. And it's as well good to hear that the plastic waste management rules in India have also adopted now the extended producer responsibility framework, which is fantastic. I think it's a big step. And you banned as well the manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of identified single-use plastic items from July 1st, 2020 on. So, I mean, this is such a big step really for India, and I think this is really something to celebrate. So it's great. We've heard as well that the waste quantities are still expected to increase, and that the waste management sector is having problems as well often in financing measures, and financing really a kind of, let's say, you know, good approach, a concerted approach to waste management, and there are always or often perceived risks in the business models of the waste management companies, and it's really great to hear as well there that the NAMA facility funded Waste Solutions for a Circular Economy in India project that GIZ is organizing along with the Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI. They're piloting a risk-sharing facility to provide debt guarantee to municipal solid waste management sector entrepreneurs. And we are really delighted as well to hear that the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change are partner ministries for this NAMA project, and really for this innovative financing mechanism, which is, I think, making a big, you can tell already now, is making a big difference. The draft National Resource Efficiency Policy, NREP, of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is also a pioneering effort that will ensure adoption of circular economy approaches across sectors. And like we heard already from our distinguished panelists, the attainment of a net zero energy system of India is a technically feasible target. So we've heard it from the industry as well today, which is really great. But the transition in achieving this is quite challenging. So we need a behavioral change, and we need to essentially require a change in the way people live. So what we are doing here, you know, it's called a lifestyle for environment. The new slogan, LIFE, I think is exactly this. So we have to change, or to basically persuade people to change the way they live and they use and manage the resources. So all of this together, I think, shows us that India is on a great way, and I'm really, really very impressed about this. And on behalf of the organizers and the GIZ, I would really like to thank the panelists here. Many thanks for your time and for the input. It has been really interesting. Thank you so much. And thank you. And I think we close here now, and I wish you all a really, a nice evening. Enjoy the warmth. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. I really learned a lot today, so it was really good. So for me, very interesting.
Chair told me to reduce the slides.
Yeah.
So I prepared a lot of slides.
Right.